Hey there, and welcome everybody to season 3 of Email Never Sleeps. And today's topic is called The Foundations of Email, Building Blocks of Saying Hello. And I want to introduce you to somebody that I've known for quite some time, Scott Cohen. Full disclosure, everybody, Scott and I have known each other for years. I'm going to let him give his sort of background. He's got an amazing background. So, Scott, introduce yourself to our audience. Who are you, and why should they care? All right, why should they
Why
care?
should they care? Why should they care? Well, Andrew, thanks for having me. Good to chat as always. Yes, we met, gosh, 15 years ago now,
Something
I
like
want to
that. Yeah,
say.
we're aging ourselves, man.
Some
We're
we
aging.
are. Yeah, if you're watching, if you had talked to me 15 years ago, this would not be all gray. So,
Right, right.
yeah, so I've been in the email space since 2009. Um, Started life as a copywriter, and I've been agency side, ran email programs at 1-800 Contacts, Purple Mattress, Smile Direct Club, Western Governors University. So
Mhm.
kind of have this like funky Swiss Army knife, like all of us email marketers, like we're kind of just
Yeah,
have our hands in everything type career.
yeah.
And these days, I'm on the agency side of Inbox Army, running strategy and marketing over there. And third time's the charm. I've worked over there a couple times. Yeah,
Yeah,
I like to
yeah,
get a. It's kind of a nice to have your toes in a lot of different places. But yeah, it's been
yeah.
you know full disclosure, Inbox Army, full service email marketing agency. We
Mhm.
If it involves email, we do it, and we work on every platform we can think of, including your own there,
Yeah,
iPost.
for
So
sure,
it's
for
a
sure.
fun place to be.
Are you still writing Scott's Writes Everything? Because that's where I think we first met.
Ah,
Is
that's
that
where
where
we
we
met.
connected?
I
Yeah,
think you were one of my interview subjects way back
yeah,
in the day when I
totally.
conducted an email interview
Yeah,
via email, which I
yeah.
thought was always fun.
Oh,
No, I stopped doing that.
okay.
Just I you wouldn't even find anything there now. It got retired a few years ago, and I went.
Yeah.
I haven't written on it in 5 years. Why am I still paying for it?
Well, so everybody listening, Scott, as he mentioned, he's definitely been around the block many a times. We co-wrote some blogs together. I met
We
him
did.
at several conferences and stuff. And so, folks, we'll put up everyone's deets at the end, right? Certainly follow Inbox Army, listen to what they have to say in their blogs. I still am an avid reader and watcher of sort of the things that you do, Scott. And I've been, I consider you to be a valuable colleague. And so for everybody out there, what we're going to talk about today, sometimes you get an audience, right? And you talk
Hmm?
about the building blocks of saying hello, right? And that's the experience or that first email. And you sometimes might get that proverbial eye roll, like, guys, how many I've heard about this stuff for years and years and years. I think you and I were chatting about it, Scott, right? There's a
Yeah.
lot of brands. In fact, I'm willing to go out on a limb and saying 90+% of the brands either A, have a welcome program that needs to be revamped or something that's the first touch. Some don't have it, and some don't even know that they have it. And they just haven't worked on it in many years. And I'm curious, Scott, from your perspective, right? And as you talk to clients or see the stuff in the industry, what's like the number one gauge when you start to say hello to somebody, that first touch? What are you passionate about when it comes to that?
I've said I say this a lot, but at a minimum, know what your customers have done with you,
Yeah.
right? And so
Mhm.
when we talk about saying hello, that first hand raise,
Mhm.
it could be any number of first, right? So,
Yep.
when we talk about a welcome email, everybody thinks, oh, when somebody signs up through a pop up or through, a footer little field or whatever, that's a
Mhm.
welcome. But that's not the only time somebody's raising their hand for the first time and saying, hello, my name is,
Mhm.
can you give me more information? Right. It could be
Mhm.
that somebody fills out, starts a cart with you.
Mhm. Yeah.
Or if you're in B2B, it could be a full on form, right? Or they could book an appointment. In some cases, you're booking an appointment as a first hand raise. It could be a purchase, right? So saying hello, there's value in just having something. Absolutely. And oftentimes that's what we run into. It's like, yeah, we have a welcome program. We did it really fast when we signed up for whatever platform we're on, right? Get something in place. And there's value there, but there's missed opportunity all over the place. Are you going to recognize what they've done to get to that hand raise? Are you
Right.
going to provide the value that you're offering? Maybe it's an incentive, right?
Hmm.
Of, hey, it's a free white paper or 10% off or this or that. And if you're not delivering those things,
Hmm.
or if it looks like you're using the drag and drop tool in the platform, which
Yeah.
every good platform has one, and
Yeah.
you could do better than that. Let's put it that way. So there's people are engaged, they're ready to go, they're raising their hands, and you just kind of forget about it because you spend all this time just trying to get your weekly emails out, right? And
Hmm.
so it, like, especially that welcome email, it's the one you're going to get the most opens on, the most clicks on, the best,
Hmm.
most likely in
Yeah.
most sort of, especially traditional e-commerce cases, you're going to get the best performance in terms of conversion and revenue out of it,
Yeah.
unless you're selling like a $75,000 product or something, which,
Right.
we have some clients that do that. And it's like, all right,
Yeah.
we got to find some different KPIs. But, there's, it, just don't set it and forget it. There should be no such thing as set it, forget it.
Hmm. I always sort of equate that first hello, whether it's cart, whether it's a B2B, whether it's a welcome email or whatever, is imagine you have to show up to that person's house for the first
Yeah.
time, seconds after. What's the impression you're going to leave? If you knock on their door, they open it. Are you just going to throw something at them that says, "Thank you, Scott Cohen, for signing up. Look forward to sending you discounts," or "We look forward to contacting you," and just throwing it at you and running away, right? The first impression matters. And the way that we do things, and we talk a lot about personalization in this industry, right?
Yep.
Um, I think the thing that drives me bananas is if I sign up and I go through some sort of process or through a cart or through a B2B sort of thing, and I give all of my information, that they address me with my first name and last name, right? Just like the minuscule little things,
Just little
right?
things. Yeah.
Guys, it's the little things I think that matter, that oftentimes that first touch maybe not be owned by the marketing department. It might be owned by somebody else or on a different platform. And we need to take a step back in the culture that we live in, right? In this hyper vigilant sort of way that people think about brands. And one of the things I'll talk about is that people want you, the brand, to know them, and to make it informal or clinical, right? Is not really a way for somebody to know you. And so that first touch has to be personal. It doesn't have to be personalized. It has to be
Yeah.
personal, and it has to show that you really truly mean what you say. And so the advice that I give is imagine like that doorstep, like you're on that
Yeah.
customer's. How do you want to leave that with them? Because you're right, there is first hellos and interactions all over the place. So what's like the most undeniable thing that you see, Scott, that you say, you know what, man, we got to change the way that we do this. What's the biggest set of advice you would have?
It's, I think, the thing I was thinking about, what, with what you were saying is, there's always this balance of, and of course, the way that, privacy is going, it's going to be harder to show that you know somebody,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or that
Mm-hmm.
you can recognize that and there's that sort of line of, you talked about personal but not personalized, like at what, there's that creepy factor line, right? That you in
Right.
some cases have to kind of just tiptoe up to and just like poke at it, right? In
Yeah.
some cases. But I think it really is a combination of, yes, you need to deliver those, like set those expectations of, hey, here's what we're going, like if I somebody knocked on my door and said, here's the service we're going to provide you, here are the next steps of what to expect,
Yeah.
right? Like you need to set that up. Now, you can do it a lot warmer than, number one, we will email you 4 times a week, or whatever it might be.
Right.
um but you're also trying to remove friction, wherever
Mhm.
possible.
Yeah.
So,
Point.
you know, whenever I look at welcome programs or those first, emails, like I said before, know what they've done, but then also like what is the goal of the email, right?
Mhm.
Is the goal to, oftentimes people sign up for emails because they went, oh, I'm about to purchase anyway, but they'll give me 15% off if I sign up for email and SMS.
Mhm.
It's a very transactional way to look at it.
Mhm.
So deliver on that, right?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
immediately, hey, here's the stuff. If you have any questions, like that's where you start going into, are you not sure? We have these people, like, what is your business model, right? Are you not sure about this? Do you need to talk to someone? Be helpful,
Mhm.
and it's the combination of helpful of I actually do want to talk to somebody or I want to self-serve.
Mhm.
So it's you can't. Yeah, it's always like you have to remember there's a person that's on your list that
Right.
just signed up for your list. That is a person with different wants, different needs. They're in different buying positions.
Yep.
When I worked in the university space, it was we had people coming in going, I'm ready to start college next month to
Mhm.
I might start college in 2 years.
Yeah.
And so you have this balance of how much information you give up front. And
Mhm.
also a big thing here is don't forget your website, right?
Mhm.
Like oftentimes they go, well, we need all the information in the email. And I go, no, I'm an email guy. Email
Yeah.
can't do everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want them on your site because they can't convert.
Yeah. Exactly.
AMP for email, notwithstanding, that the
Right.
whole purchase is happening inside of email, but you need you need that piece, right? So, consider your goals,
Mhm.
consider how people purchase from you because in
Mhm.
some email programs it's they can't buy here, they have to call somebody, they have
Yeah.
to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
go, well, then what's the email driving?
Right.
Making them feel good about setting an appointment, make them feel good about um doing all those things, and in some cases if they've bought from you, make them feel good and not cancel the order for buyer's remorse,
Right.
right? So it's
Yep.
just
Well,
remember there's a human at the end of the line.
there's a human at the end of the line, and you make some really, really valid points. And somebody might be listening that would say, well, wait a second. If it's a cart email or if it's a contact me sort of email, how do I know if it's the first time that they've interacted with me? There's conditional logic. Every ESP out there should be smart enough to know that Andrew or Scott that signed up, this is the first email they're going to get at this particular email address, right? So you can set it up to say, well, somebody that's on your list who has received email before should get something completely different than someone that's new on your
Yeah.
list. I want to add on to what you just said, that there's a person on the other line. And I oftentimes think that we, and I'm including you as marketers, feel like we really have a story to tell, but that sometimes we tend to tell too much. And I think with today's attention spans, I think with today's intentions, right, or expectations that that person has, we oftentimes look at is how much stuff can we throw in that email? How much can we tell them about our brand or about that cart or about that contact us form, and then give multiple sets of calls to action like, well, follow us here and like us here and go to here, and have multiple sets of links and places for them to go. We want choice, but I oftentimes think that there's this first touch is an avalanche of information, and we need to think about,
Yeah.
we have plenty of opportunity to keep that person, that individual on the other end of that email engaged, but we don't need to, and I'll use the broad term of marketing barf, everything into that first email for fear, right? For fear that we're going to lose out on that. And so to your point is, take a look at that, the intention of that email, and make sure that we don't overintend. And if you have to fight a battle with, let's say, the social department or with other groups in like, hey, I want this, or we should add this, or our competitor added that, take a step back and ask yourself, sometimes simplicity does work, and really not wanting to tell the whole story, because you could tell the story in future emails. What you don't want to do is be that annoying, person that says, try everything. click everywhere, right?
Yeah,
As
it's
opposed to
it's
too
the
much.
self-serve model, right? I think
Yeah,
that really
right.
plays into it of,
Mhm,
you know, if you I mean, it is rare for me to recommend to any prospective client of ours, and I don't
mhm,
think I've done it since I've been back, of a
yeah,
one email welcome, right?
right.
It's always like
So,
it's 3. If it's a longer consideration period, it's 5, it's 7, whatever might make sense because to your point, you
mm,
have a big story to tell.
yeah.
Now you could in that first email go, "Hey, we're going to tell you about all this stuff.
Mhm,
If you'd like to do it on your own right now,
right.
give them one link out to a spot on your site where this all
Sure.
sits, right?"
Absolutely.
And, you know, when does it make sense to introduce social, right? Like the social proof is huge in terms of
Mhm,
testimonials and sort of that buying thing. But does it make sense to go like, is your Facebook group valuable to the customer or valuable to you?
exactly. Exactly.
Right. And
No,
so so you have brands where it's like the Facebook group is huge, right? Because they
right.
have huge, like just brand lovers and evangelists. That like, oh my God, let me tell you everything about why this is amazing.
Yeah,
Email
yeah,
should be leveraging that to the
right.
hilt, right? Because like, oh,
Absolutely.
we don't have to sell you, go talk to them.
Right.
Get the real deal.
Yeah,
But if you don't have that, be
right,
honest with yourself
right.
and be like, let's
Conversely,
cultivate that.
and conversely around social proof, right, is I've seen where they are on every single social channel you can, and I've clicked on it and there hasn't been any activity in 12 months, 18 months,
Yeah.
right? And you ask yourself, what's more important, getting them to click on that and then getting to a barren wasteland, or to do something else that may not be there? And sometimes we're pre-programmed to say, well, we need social in our emails. I'm not arguing that. That's not that. I fully support that. It's make sure that the value, right, that it either provides to you
Yep.
or to the customer. Um, Look, we're almost at the end of time, and
Yeah.
there's a lot we can talk about, and I'm definitely want to have you back sometime. Maybe we'll talk about other things. But let's say you had an audience of 500 marketers right now in front of you in this podcast of various degrees, right? In terms of complexities of their programs and maybe even experience.
Mhm.
What's one or two pieces of nuggets they can take away?
One, definitely go audit your welcomes, your carts, your post purchase, your immediate post purchase, right? Go audit it. Call the
Mhm.
baby ugly for the love of God, right?
Yeah,
Like you've got to be completely honest with yourself,
yeah,
and go, this is, and then test, right? Test against it, right? Because you could go, oh man, this is terrible, but it actually is working.
yeah.
And then you could do new stuff. And I mean, God, the number of times I've heard in my career and I come back to it of ugly cells,
Mhm.
my God, it could be ugly to you and it could be working fantastic.
Right.
And then the
Right.
second piece in firsts, and you talked about it a little bit with cart being like it's cart, but they're a first time hand raiser. We like
Mhm.
to differentiate between cart abandon, what we call checkout abandon, which is really focused on those people who got to that point as their first hand raise
Yeah,
and they haven't converted. So
yeah,
you wouldn't necessarily say, hey, like you're sort of your traditional cart slash browse of forget something. It would be,
yeah,
I call it like the melding of welcome and cart together.
yeah,
And so that little nuance, particularly if you see a lot of people, I mean, you have to look at your data and go, how many of the people who their first hand raise with us is a purchase? If you have a
yeah,
lot of people there, then you need to be putting in checkout abandon.
yeah. I'm going to add a little bit onto your audit because I 100% agree with that. But I'm going to add a little wrinkle to that and
Hmm.
say, you got to map what the first 30, 40 sort of touches are to your client. True story. I worked with a brand one time, and in the first, I know you don't have to go to this extreme, in the first 150 days of me being on their list, 80% of the email I received is stuff that I never signed up for. The brand promise was broken. And when I brought that up, the journey, right, wasn't really looked at, right? And now this was a publisher, right? But it was interesting to kind of see what we can take away and what we can add and add value. And it was changed and it worked out famously, it worked out beautifully. And I think the second aspect is, in addition to the audit, one of the biggest things that's hard for marketers to do is find out stuff to take away that's not working. Maybe it's a link that doesn't work. Maybe you're not actually tracking first cart abandons ROI because you just don't have the ability to track that. Maybe it's links, dead links to the site or to a blog or to something that isn't working or isn't being clicked on. Look at it in that vein, but also look
Mhm.
at it from the subscribers, not just the marketers. So take off your marketer's hat, put on your subscriber's hat, and map those kinds of things out, because I think it's really important, and especially in 2024, right? As we continue this whole ever-changing landscape around what people expect from brands. I don't care what you
Mhm.
sell, versus what we're actually delivering on. Because I think the last thing you want to be proud, right, of
Yeah.
your email program, and I think that's important. So,
Sorry.
um,
One thing to add to
yeah,
that,
go for it. Yeah, go.
create dummy email accounts and sign up for your own
Yes,
program and then
yes,
just sit back and watch. Because
yes.
even if you go into your platform and look around, you may forget that there are things turned
Yeah,
on.
yeah, right, right.
And so the only way to, and you could send yourself tests and everything else, but
Yeah,
go and, you said put on that subscriber hat. I've done this where I go, I have 15 aliases in Gmail,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Oh yeah,
Go sign up for stuff.
oh
Go
yeah,
try your different forms and all that. Heck, get a credit card
yeah.
or a dummy credit card from your payments team or whatever, and do a dummy purchase, right? Like,
Let's
do
see.
everything you can to
Mm-hmm.
see, especially you brought it up earlier, the pay, if the order confirmation, shipping confirmation come from a different platform than everything else does, a different
Right.
system, that's the only way you can know it's working, is if you
Or
literally do it.
or if you, and this is a true story, or if you are a confirmed opt-in shop and you send your welcome email before you send your confirmed opt-in, right? Like I've seen that happen before, where I start getting emails even before I've actually confirmed that I actually wanted to receive email. It's goofy, I get it, right? Historically in email programs stuff breaks, and
Yep.
and that's just part, it's like regular maintenance on your body, right, as you get
Yep.
older. Look, Scott, this has been phenomenal. I'm so glad we were able to do this. The VP of Marketing and Strategy at Inbox Army, a partner of iPosts, really smart people over there. They do phenomenal work. Scott, you've been a testament in this industry to helping brands and stuff. So thank you so much for being a part of this. I really am honored that you were able to come on and be a part of this. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. This was awesome.
Awesome. Scott, thank you again. And everybody, um, keep emailing. It'll work, right? Go out and do something fantastic today. Thanks, everybody.